In this video, I will discuss a new challenge and series that I am working on related to building and reselling PCs. Will I be successful in this new venture? Watch how I work through the entire process of building and listing the computer, from obtaining the parts, building the system, and running the benchmarks and tests. Stay tuned to the end of each video to see if I'm making any progress on achieving my goals. I have been looking for items to flip, refurbish, and turn into full PCs and sell through my shop. I just wanted to get on here and do a quick recording to show this item that I came across, just to show that you got to be patient, keep watching, jump on stuff when it's a good deal. So. Alright guys, I was able to pick that up and was even able to get a slight discount. He offered it to me for $300 just because I had to drive so far, so definitely appreciated that. Once I get this home, I will get it all set up and let you guys take a look. Like I said, we were able to get this for $300. First of all, the main item here, the motherboard and the CPU. This is a 5800X Ryzen. It's a basic motherboard, nothing special, but I looked it up. A Gigabyte B550MK, it goes for about $70, $75 on eBay. The 5800X goes for about $120. And there is a 1 terabyte WD Blue NVMe hard drive here. So that's probably another $50 or $60. We got two 32 gig sticks of DDR4 3200 megahertz memory. Most people only have 32 on a higher end system, so 64 gigs of memory there. That's probably over $100 worth. Power supply, it is a Corsair TX750. This is a lower end unit. It's not super high end, but you know what? It's not bad at all. It's got the cables are covered in black, so I can use this for a build probably. I don't know if I'll use it for the build I'm doing for this one. I'm going to try to spruce this up a little bit because this is going to be one of my higher end builds, but this is a nice unit, and 750 watts would easily run this system. It did come with the CPU cooler. Again, I might upgrade this for this higher end build I'm going to work with on this one. But yeah, nothing wrong with it. I think they told me this was a Thermalright, so yeah, all the pieces seem to be there. I have the I/O shield for the motherboard. I wasn't sure if I was getting that or not because it wasn't in the pictures, so it was a nice surprise when I got there and that was included. And we have a GeForce RTX 2080 Super. So this is a Lenovo branded graphics card, and this is in good shape, very good shape, clean. Looks like this guy took very good care of his computer parts, so I was happy to see that. I looked this up. This goes for between $180 and $200 on eBay. So all in all, for $300, we did great on this deal. I appreciate that the guy gave me such a good offer. He did take $50 off because it was about an hour drive each way for me. So I appreciated that hugely. So let's look into what kind of parts we can buy to fill this out and build a nice system. Okay, it's been a few days since I updated you guys. I picked up the remaining components I needed to finish out this PC build. Like I said before, I have the $300 deal that I got with all the components. All I really needed to add was a case, but I did also want to upgrade the cooler, so I have this nice AIO cooler. It's even got a little display on the front. I purchased 6 RGB fans, and I have this white Nzxt H6 flow case. It's going to look really nice. Got some extension cables in white as well. That's the RGB controller. I picked up a Wi-Fi USB adapter because there's no Wi-Fi built into the board there. So I did already go ahead and get the AIO cooler bracket installed. So we're going to start right off the bat working on the case, and we'll start putting this together. All right. Let's get this case out and see what this thing looks like. This will be one of the nicer builds I've ever done, especially to sell. So this will be a true test, not only of my skills, but to see how the area I live in, if this kind of stuff's going to do well or not. So hopefully I didn't just spend a fortune. Not a real fortune, but overall I'm in about $550 on this system. So I need to come out, I need to sell this thing for hopefully a couple hundred more than that minimum to feel like it was worth my time. And I'm still having fun, so. But I'm not in a case where I can be spending too much money on this stuff if I'm not coming out ahead. There's definitely some financial concerns that I'm working through, and that's going to I'm going to go over what my hope is. So this whole PC business I'm starting here, where I'm working on these PCs and building them out, doing repairs as well. I'm doing it to help with my student loans. So that's going to be my challenge. I have about $50,000 in student loans remaining. I've paid a little bit off here and there. I've had to put them in deferment from different times when I was out of work. But I have $50,000 left, which is going to come to about $500 a month is my goal on this business. So I realize that's not going to happen right off the bat, but that's what I'm working towards here. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on my progress, kind of give you an idea of what I'm paying for these PC systems, and then what I'm able to sell them for, so we can keep track if I'm able to make that $500 a month or not. So I will have to pull these. So there's 3 included fans in this case, but this option was a lot cheaper and on sale, but the fans aren't RGB. So I picked up 6 RGB fans, and I'm just going to change these out, and these can just be some spares or put in another build later on when I'm not worried about the RGB. When you're installing fans, always make sure that you are thinking about the number of intake and exhaust fans that you're having set up. You can see here that I'm installing these 3 fans as intake, and eventually I'm going to install 2 more on the bottom as intake as well, so that'll give me 5. And then the AIO cooler itself will have 3 exhaust fans, and then I'm setting up 1 more exhaust fan on the back right above the GPU. If I can put this back on for now. All right, let's go ahead and get the motherboard in here. All right, that looks good. I'm not going to put any screws in yet because I'm going to grab this AIO cooler and make sure that I can get it up there. This will need to go like this. Little tight fit. So once I fished those wires through to the back of the case and located the proper screws, I just took my time, made sure I got all of them in. There's 12 in total that attach it to the top of the case. Don't forget to pull off on the bottom of the CPU cooler, there's usually a plastic film. You do not want to leave that on before you install. I think I can go ahead and put that CPU cooler all the way on now. But actually, I'm going to put the motherboard down first. I didn't have any screws in it yet. some thermal paste on the CPU. Almost used all of this one. I got a couple more CPUs worth in there. Make sure all these wires are out of the way. Oh, I didn't realize that came off. And place that down. All right, let's see, what should be next? Let's do the power supply next. Already have the memory in there and the hard drive. I left those on the board. I ended up using this power supply. I tested it pretty thoroughly and had no issues. And because all of the cables were hid behind the case, I didn't have any issues with it being black. So you can see here I'm just attaching those white extension cables I had purchased. So those will actually be the pieces that connect to the motherboard. And after that, it was just cleaning up a few of the cables and everything looked good. I'm going to go ahead and put the motherboard, the graphics card in, hook up those cables, and then work on doing some cable management and hooking up all of these fans. So this was a big mess. You can see the amount of cables I had going on. It kind of is intimidating when you first get started, but just kind of learn to separate your cables out accordingly. So I had all of the power cables. Most of them weren't being used off of the power supply. So I end up stuffing those underneath as best as I can. And then you have all of the different fan cables coming in. So each fan had one power connector and one RGB connector. But what's nice about these is you can daisy chain them together. So when you connect one, you'll connect the next one to it and the next one to it. That allows you to get all of these connected together and then pass the one main one into the board so that it gets controlled by the motherboard settings. And just make sure you use zip ties and twisty ties to try and clean this all up and make it look as good as possible. So yeah, it doesn't look too bad now that you can see what I did on this side. Okay, the moment of truth. I think we have everything hooked up. Have a monitor hooked up with a keyboard and mouse so we can get into the BIOS if we need to. Let's see if this thing will turn on. All right, power button. Success. Do we have a screen? There it goes. Come on. Yes. We are in. Look at that. Everything lit up. All the RGB. Put Windows on this before I got the case to help save some time on this process. Let's see if we can change the colors. Nice. I decided to go into some testing and benchmarking after I got everything set up and all the drivers and stuff installed in Windows. So you always want to make sure you spend plenty of time testing the system. You don't want to take a chance that you miss something and the system is not stable, it crashes and it gets sent back to you. All right, that one finished 284 average FPS. 7,173 score. I was watching the temperatures as well on the GPU, and they topped out around 70, maybe a little bit higher Celsius, which is not bad at all. Time Spy just finished with a score of 10,745. All right, I'm starting the Cinebench run. I'll be back in a little bit after this is done to see how it did. I ran the Cinebench here and sped up the speed so you didn't have to watch it. But I ended up getting a score of 670 points. I also ran through benchmarks in Cyberpunk 2077. I allowed it to set the settings, it set them at medium to high settings, and ran through the benchmarks. And ended up getting some great results at around an average of 80 FPS. Next up, I tried Fortnite. I set the quality preset to epic so all the settings would be turned up. And ended up getting between 90 and 100 FPS. This last test I did with Crystal Mark allowed me to test the NVMe, and the speeds were great at over 4,000 megabytes read and write speeds. Overall, this turned out to be a great build. We were able to get the system put together for a very good price. I spent about $300 on the parts from that initial deal. Added another probably $300 when it was all said and done for the case, the fans, the AIO cooler, and a few other pieces there. Did all that testing and got great results as well on all the games and benchmarks. So the system looks like it's running great. The only issues we ran into were a couple bent pins on one of the USB headers, and I had to tinker with the memory settings a little bit in the BIOS to adjust based on the different memory that I had added in. Overall, I'm very impressed and happy with this build that we made. So my plan is at the end of each one of these videos, I'm going to share what revenue we've made. Of course, this being the first one, we haven't made any sales yet, but I'm going to start the challenge with this PC, and any PCs that we build in these challenges will get added to this, and I'll make sure to keep a running tally so we can update if I'm making or losing money and if I'm getting anywhere close to that goal of about $500 a month to help pay those student loans off. Thanks so much for watching if you made it this far. Please like and subscribe down below, and you'll be able to keep up to date on the future videos and episodes for this challenge. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it so much, and see you next time.